back to the special edition of Hannity, President Trump versus the resistance. Well, the media is freaking out over the president's recent jabs at CNN, but should they really be throwing stones from their incredibly fragile glass house? Well, earlier today, Donald Trump Jr. called out CNN on Twitter, writing, quote, CNN and Dems calling Trump assassination play artistic expression, but WWF joke meme is a call for violence. Hilarious reinforcement of FNN. Well, joining me now with more on the media's glaring double standard is Fox News contributor DeRoy Murdoch, legal analyst and former prosecutor Lionel, and columnist for The Hill, Kristin Tate. Thank you all for being here with me tonight. A lot of new developments
Thanks for
here.
having us.
All right. Well, you have the tweet from Don Jr. and you have the meme that was out this weekend. And DeRoy, I'll begin with you. It seems to me, and I think the polling and the analysis of this will back it up, that this president has received more unfair, like negative coverage, than any other president.
Yeah, I think it's something like 93% of the coverage at CNN is negative. That's nowhere near fair and balanced at all. And it's been relentless. I mean, it's been from when he was elected, even before he was elected, it goes on and on. But well beyond CNN, you've had Madonna saying that she dreams about blowing up the White House.
Right.
Snoop Dogg did a video where he pulled the trigger on a revolver at this clown that was dressed up to look like Donald Trump. Obviously, Kathy Griffin holding up that chopped off head of Donald Trump. I mean, I call this assassination chic. And it's not just being done by odd people out there in the hinterland. This is done by people who are artists, people who sell platinum records. These are people who've been in some of the biggest movies and entertainment vehicles in our country, and that sort of thing is appalling. And I think, unfortunately, it leads to people pulling the trigger like we saw out in Arlington, Virginia a few weeks ago.
I mean, it was obviously a joke. This is just more selective outrage from the left. The liberal media loves to call for civility and unity, but they only do that when they can use the sound bites to silence conservatives. Then they turn around and they use divisive rhetoric and violence-inciting rhetoric all the time. I mean, where was the outrage again when Kathy Griffin held up Donald Trump's severed head? The hypocrisy is flagrant. And the left loves saying that Donald Trump's tweets aren't presidential. They're right. It's not presidential, but that's why people voted for Trump. This is no ordinary president. People wanted a fighter, someone who wouldn't be afraid to go to Washington, D.C., flip over the table, and stick it to the media that middle America has come to really despise.
Yeah, they don't want to cover any of the important legislative efforts, policy positions. They don't want to cover any of the job numbers that are good, the 401k numbers that are good, because they don't want to seem to give him any credit. I feel that they're very jealous, Lionel. They're very jealous of him, it seems.
You know, Tolstoy said history would be a wonderful thing if only were true. In 1950, Harry Truman, when he heard about a bad review that Margaret got from a fellow named Hume in the Washington Post, he wrote him a letter on White House stationery that said, when I meet you, I'm going to break your nose. You're going to need 2 beefsteaks for eyes and a supporter. I don't have to go through the litany of what he did. This was violence. Signed HST. Right. We loved it. Give him hell, Harry. And Trump with a little tweet. This is nothing. What is the matter with us? He's a genius. I don't know how to make it any clearer. He's laughing. Why are we even talking about
Yeah,
this?
Lionel's going to do the wave here in a minute. He's
By myself.
So excited. He's going to do the wave. He's like so excited. The Trump wave. All right. So, Kristin, what do you think, though? I mean, have people had a little bit of time to have some perspective, about this? I mean, I tend to agree with Don Jr., who is saying this is unbelievable. These people can't take a joke. This was like a wrestling meme, yet they want to feel like it's some kind of like quote unquote equivalent of ISIS recruitment video, craziness.
Yeah, I totally agree, Kimberly. I mean, everyone knows the media is humorless, but you know what? All of this outrage from the media is going to do little to actually influence what the American people think. These outlets like the New York Times, CNN, and the Washington Post have become so flagrant in their bias that they've lost all credibility. I mean, the only people who read and watch these outlets are the very far left. These journalists have made themselves completely irrelevant.
Yeah, and DeRoy, have you noticed the number of retractions that have had to be issued? And how about the National Security Agency, 17 intelligence agencies? Right. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm really bad at math. Let me use my fingers again to count, because actually the Associated Press, New York Times, Washington Post, all of them.
Yeah, and oops, it's not 17 or 16 or 15, it's 4, grand total of 4. And by the way, also referring to that, our former paper of record over on 8th Avenue.
Yeah.
They're actually sponsored that Shakespeare in the Park, where a Donald Trump-like Julius Caesar was stabbed to death at the end. So they actually sponsored that thing.
So how about that?
How about that?
How about them apples? Okay, all right, you guys are fantastic, so don't move. Because coming up, we got more with our panel. 9 Republican senators oppose the current bill to repeal and replace Obamacare. Will the GOP be able to keep a major promise they made to the American people? Welcome back to this special edition of Hannity, President Trump versus the resistance. Well, 9 Republican senators currently oppose the bill to repeal and replace Obamacare. And according to a new Associated Press headline, quote, GOP voters blame Congress, not Trump, for lack of progress. Well, back with us, Fox News contributor DeRoy Murdoch, legal analyst and former prosecutor Lionel, and The Hill columnist Kristin Tate. All right, DeRoy, so how likely is it that this health care bill is actually going to pass the Senate this time?
I think it has to happen. Look, the Republicans have been promising this for 7 years. I don't know what they've been doing all these 7 years. And even if you excuse...
No one knows.
Nobody knows. Even if you excuse that, they certainly have had since November 9th, when they knew they'd have a Republican House, Republican Senate, Republican White House, to get their acts together. And here we are in July, and they still don't know what they're doing. And every Republican and conservative and even moderate and some Democrat voters who voted for these guys expect and demand that these guys do their job, stop monkeying around, and get it together. And I think the simple way to do it is basically the moderates want more money, the conservatives want more freedom. So whatever spending we have, put the spending into health savings accounts, other vehicles like that. So you make people who are basically beneficiaries of government services become consumers. They can go out and pick and choose the care they want. Let people buy across state lines, ditch the state lines, and let a company like Geico or Allstate sell coast to coast.
I agree.
And I think that if you combine all that, I think you'll be able to get 50-50 votes and Mike Pence to make it happen.
Everybody seems to like the free market aspect of it, Kristin. So what do you think? Why is this taking so long? Especially you've got President Trump in the White House, you've got Congress all lined up, teed up with Republicans. Why don't they get it together? And who do you blame for this not working? You saw the poll. It seems the American people aren't blaming President Trump. They're fed up with Congress.
Yeah, I blame Congress. But I mean, look, the Senate health care bill really isn't that great. It's not a full repeal of Obamacare. And at the end of the day, it is still a big government subsidy. But it's a little less horrible than Obamacare. So they've got to pass something. The problem is that the conservative wing of the GOP knows that this Senate health care bill stinks and they don't want their names attached to it. I totally understand that. But if the GOP can't come together and do this, they are going to get blamed for Obamacare's failure. Obamacare is falling apart and something's got to be done. I mean, premiums have doubled since 2013. Deductibles continue to go through the roof. Insurers are fleeing the market. And if Republicans continue to be purists and they don't work together, nothing's going to get done. We're going to be stuck with Obamacare. And 2018 is going to be an ugly election year. So they've got to compromise. They got to get something done.
I mean, honestly, don't they want to keep their jobs? Maybe not. But it seems like they're the ones letting the American people down, Lionel. What is their problem? What is it going to take to please these people?
One of the greatest myths in the world, next to the artistic quality of the neck tattoo, is how there's something called Obamacare, that they're repealing Obamacare. There is no Obamacare. It's a mess. But the good news for the president is that he can now turn to the American people and say, what do you expect? I can't even get any kind of a limitation on immigration, which is what you voted me in for, without them calling me a racist. I can't budge, no matter what I try to do. Exactly. So he's looking good right now. But it is an existential mess. And no matter how he plays this, wait a minute, I've got an idea. Maybe he could do a meme, this time with glow or something, and drive these people completely over the edge. Because it takes one more, I'm telling you, it takes one more meme or tweet for the entire mainstream media to lose it completely.
Kristin, they were given a job, they said, and they complained about Obamacare. Now they've had the chance, and have they squandered it? That's what really irritates me.
I actually think they will get this done. I mean, look, the American people look around. They see the Republicans controlling the House, the Senate, and the White House. If nothing gets done, the Republicans know it's going to be really ugly next year. The Democrats have proven that they're the party of no. They're going to obstruct. Yeah, so it's got to be the Republicans that get this done, and I think they know that. So if they're smart, they will compromise and push this through.
All right, Lionel, last comment.
The bottom line is simply this. It may just be the ultimate in legislative Gordian knots. This may be something that is so complicated, so awful that no matter what the final product is going to be horrible no matter what.
Oh
it
my
may
goodness.
just be something that, and I'm just the bearer of good news.
Yes, I can tell that.
It just
Well,
may be a disaster.
I'm going to keep taking my
They're already-
Flintstone vitamins, my vitamin C, because that doesn't sound good. All
IV.
right. The panel was fantastic. They're coming